Hi everybody, my name is Caroline and I'd like to thank you all for coming here today. How many of you like face paint? Well, today I'm going to teach you. I've been here and doing face painting for a few years now, and I like to draw, paint, and do all kinds of art.
And face painting isn't really much different. It's fun, it's great for parties, and it's really easy to learn. So today I'm going to teach you how to set up your face painting station, use color effectively, and show you a short demonstration on technique. So let's start with the basics of your face painting station. Keeping your station clean and organized is important. I always have paper towels, water for brushes and sponges, and if my tools are dirty, the face paint gets dirty. So nobody wants to be greenish brown when they wanted to be a purple butterfly, so it's really important that you keep your brushes and your sponges clean so that you can keep your paint clean and preserve the original color. I always rinse my brushes between applying color and switching colors. And I usually use a paper towel just to make sure all the extra paint is off of the brush. And it's a good idea to have extra brushes and sponges in case you're doing a piece with a lot of colors and you don't have to switch out and clean your brush every single time. And I usually have separate water cups as well, one for getting the brushes wet and the sponges wet, and one for cleaning the brushes. So keeping your station organized is another important part of that. You want to keep your paints in a clean, dry place, and obviously today we're going to be outside, so it's important that we keep our paint covered when we're not using it to keep all the dirt and dust and bugs out of it. And I, once again, always have my paper towels on hand for spills and messes, and it's a good idea to have a palette for mixing colors as well as hand sanitizer and a mirror. So now that we've gone through the boring stuff, let's talk about mixing colors. Mixing paints can help you create an infinite amount of new colors just from your basic kit, but there's a few things to keep in mind. You need to make sure the paint you're using is mixable, because there's paints out there that aren't, and it usually will say on your kit, whether or not it's able to be mixed, and if it is, great. Always mix dark into light. So, for example, if you want to mix green and yellow and make a yellow-green, you're going to want to take your yellow paint and mix little dabs of green into it. If you do it the other way around, you're going to end up wasting a lot of paint. So there's a lot of ways to make gross colors. If you mix complementary colors, they turn into muddy brown. So with that, let's talk about the color wheel. We've got primary colors, which I'm sure all of you guys know about, secondary colors, warm and cool colors, complementary colors, all kinds of colors. And the color wheel helps us decide what colors to use and how to mix our colors effectively. So secondary colors are just two primary colors mixed together. So, green, orange, and purple. Warm colors include red, yellow, and orange. Cool colors, blue, green, and purple. And complementary colors are colors that are opposite of each other on the color wheel. So, for instance, purple and yellow, or red and green. So, colors next to each other on the color wheel will blend really well together, like orange and yellow, or yellow and green. Like, using these colors that are closer together can help you achieve smooth transitions while you're blending those colors, and they don't get muddy. They don't get that muddy brown color. And complementary colors will pop when you put them next to each other, like orange and blue. A lot of sports team logos use complementary colors, but they don't mix well. Once again, if you try to mix complementary colors like purple and yellow, orange and blue, you're going to have to get these gross, muddy browns. So you want to have a clean battle station. You want to know how to use your colors effectively. So are you guys ready for actual face painting? And at this point, I need a volunteer, but I don't have one right now, so I'm just going to paint on my own face. So I've got my brushes, my sponges are clean and organized, and I got my water, my paper towels, water, and now we're going to learn how to put paint on the face. So today I'm going to be a tiger. Pretty easy, pretty fun. You're going to want to take your sponge, get it a little bit wet,
squeeze out the excess water, because if you get too much, if your sponge is too wet, it's going to be really streaky and not go on very well, and nobody wants that. So I'm going to start by taking a little bit of orange. You don't need much on the sponge because it's pretty concentrated. And I'm just going to start by stippling it on the face. That's when you just take light little taps. And I like doing this because it really helps you get a more concentrated color rather than just rubbing it all over your face. You want to make sure you cover the eyebrows if you can, at least a little bit. I have dark eyebrows, so it's a little harder. But for the tiger, we're just going to do the top half of the face, orange. Very fiery, fiery orange. Now you want to make sure before you put the color on that you have a clean face, no dirt in there. We want to have a nice clean canvas for our face painting. Alright, now that I'm done with the orange, I'm going to switch to the yellow. Once again, wet my sponge, squeeze it out, and just dab that into the yellow. And I'll get a chance to blend this a little bit more
once I get the color on there, so no worries.
So obviously, we're starting with the base because you want to start simple. You want to start with the bottommost layer. You don't want to get into too much detail too quickly. You want to start simple. Alright. So now that I've got my base on there, I want to let it dry for a second. And if you aren't satisfied with the concentration in the color, you can always take your sponge after the first layer dries and add a second layer. So I'm going to do now with this orange just so it really pops. And once again, this stippling really helps you get a nice thicker layer of color rather than if you just, wipe the color on there directly from the sponge. I'm just going to blend this orange a little bit and then move on to the details. So once your base dries, it's time to get into the more detailed stuff. I'm just going to take my brush, dab it in a little bit of water, and what I actually like to do, I like to take my paper towel and actually wipe off the brush to get the excess water off of there, because otherwise you're going to have some really watered down streakiness that you really don't want to deal with. I'm going to start with my lighter color first. I'm going to start with the white and then move on to black. So we're going to do some furry tiger eyebrows. And what you want to keep in mind is you want to be in control of your brush strokes. So what that means is you want to be confident and you want to make each stroke intentional. So these shorter tapered strokes are good for doing some furry eyebrows or a mustache or, a pirate beard. But once you get into outlining and things like that, you're going to want to use longer, more deliberate strokes. And that way, instead of getting that sketchy line that you might have the tendency to do, you're going to end up with a smoother line if you don't lift your brush off of the skin, if you just keep going. And it's okay if you need to go over the line again. That's fine. But what you want to keep in mind is just be confident. It's okay to make mistakes. In the words of Bob Ross, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. I'm actually going to use my sponge for this. So I actually have 3 clean sponges right now, which is a good thing. So our tiger's coming along. Got my white down. Now it's time to move on to the black. I'm going to rinse my brush off, dry it, and then do some little tiger stripes. Little nose. Get some more stripes. Add some whiskers. And some final tiger stripes down at the bottom. Voila! So at this point, I will ask for a round of applause for my volunteer. And face painting is fun. It's not so hard, and you just have to keep the basics in mind. Keep your battle station clean and organized. Be careful mixing colors, and always remember the color wheel. Use the right technique when applying the paint on the face, and be confident. It's okay to make mistakes. Don't be hard on yourself. And practice, practice, practice. If you keep painting and if you keep practicing, you'll be a pro in no time. So thank you.